Alright, some of you might not know this already, but some of you might, since I've been mentioning it in videos here and there. I'm planning on going back to Europe here in September for a month or so, a little over a month. And what I'm trying to do is compile a catalog of videos so I can air them while I'm gone. And one of the things I wanted to do was focus on different perfumers. Wanted to do videos, chronological order of fragrances a certain perfumer has created. So I'm probably going to do about 4 more videos in addition to this within the next weeks and months. And I'm going to focus on different perfumers. And we're starting off with Annick Menardo here today. Are you guys familiar with this perfumer? So I did a video on Annick Menardo's fragrances on my previous channel. And I haven't done one since then. And I was a fan, or I've been a fan of her fragrances. And I didn't realize that I wore several of her fragrances in the 90s, not knowing her name. And then when I started reviewing videos on my first channel, I realized that I liked a lot of her fragrances. So that's why I'm redoing this list today, a video for Annick Menardo's fragrances. Again, it's in chronological order. Some of my favorite fragrances from her, created by her, and you're going to find out all about this perfumer coming right up. So much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yesterday we're talking about Annick Menardo, perfumer that I've been a fan of, and I was wearing the fragrances that she's created in the early 90s, mid 90s, late 90s, all the way through the 2000s. And then when I started reviewing fragrances on my previous channel in 2012, I realized she's created a lot of my favorite fragrances. Lots of designers at the time, but she's done a bunch of niche now as well. And I've got a nice list of fragrances. Some of the fragrances that she's known for I don't own, but I've got a pretty nice collection here. So she's started perfuming or making perfumes in the early 90s, I guess, because I've got a fragrance here going back to 1992, going to the house of Laura Biagiotti. This is Roma. I should say this is Roma UOMO, this one right here. Are you familiar with this one? So this one came out in 1992, created by Annick Menardo, and this was kind of similar in line with fragrances like Paloma Picasso's Minotaur, even something like Nico's Parfum's Sculpture. Are you familiar with that fragrance? So there is a Sculpture Parfum now as well, but this fragrance kind of, you know, it was similar to that fragrance, whereas they used these warm notes, combined it with fresh notes, so it kind of created an ambery touch and created a kind of a fresh amber experience. This has benzoin, grapefruit, sandalwood, heliotrope, bergamot, cedar, jasmine, basil, patchouli, oakmoss, juniper, and musk. At one time, this was an amazing fragrance. I don't think they've actually redone this in a parfum, at least I don't recall. Currently, it's pretty watered down, but definitely a great staple for me early in the 90s that I really liked, along with Minotaur and Sculpture from Nico. So this is Roma UOMO from the house of Laura Biagiotti. That's the first fragrance here. But the next fragrance, amazing fragrance, really great mid-90s warm, spicy amber fragrance from the house of BOUCHERON. This is JAIPUR Homme in the Eau de Parfum concentration. Who's a fan of this one? This is warm and spicy and vanillic and also citrusy as well. It definitely has a 90s smell to it, but it features notes of cinnamon, vanilla, lemons, nutmeg, woods, lemon verbena, and a lot of different other notes. But it's this nice combination of warmth, vanilla, cinnamon together, kind of sort of a holiday-ish vibe, but more kind of in that style of, you know, the Far East, the Middle East, and things like that, and smells that are, you know, prominent there, but also has this freshness along with it, lemons. It kind of sort of the idea of Habit Rouge, the original in Eau de Parfum, but totally different. But this stuff is so good. I'm so glad I have a bottle now. That the smell is almost exactly the same. The intensity is almost exactly the same. It used to be a lot more robust, but this stuff smells great. I'm glad to have in my catalog or of a collection of fragrances, but a wonderful offering that is created by Annick Menardo. Let me know if you're a fan of this one. This is JAIPUR Homme in the EDP concentration. I did not mention that there are going to be discontinued fragrances here, so if you're in the market for it, I'm sorry, some of these fragrances you're probably not going to be able to get. But this one was a staple for me in the late 90s. Absolutely loved it. The original bottle I thought was very original. Going to the house of BVLGARI, this is BVLGARI Black, this one right here. Who's a fan of this one? What I liked about this one is that rubbery, leathery smell along with tea in here. She created this and it was, I considered, one of the best designer fragrances ever. It was also a unisex offering from a designer, so men and women could wear it. And what you see in this bottle, this rubberiness, is what you smell, along with that kind of fresh tea aromatic qualities, vanillic touches, and the ambery touches as well. So it's leather, green tea, vanilla, amber, musk, sandalwood, oak moss, cedar, jasmine, bergamot, and rose. Such a great fragrance. It was around up until the pandemic started, then it was discontinued. I happen to have one bottle, and the bottle has changed as well. It used to be a different cap. Now they made a kind of a simple cap, but the original bottle was a little more unique. But this stuff is so good. Right now, as an alternative, you can go with Prada Luna Rossa Black. They're different, but kind of similar, distant, relative kind of smelling. So Bulgari Black, what a great fragrance. One of my favorites in the late 90s. This next one, even better. I really, really loved it. Actually, the story with this fragrance was I was dining here in a restaurant, and a woman visiting from Germany was wearing this fragrance, and we couldn't stop smelling the table because it smelled so strong on her. This turned out to be a fragrance that she was wearing that had just launched in Germany. It's a German brand, HUGO Boss. This is Boss bottled from 1998. Annick Menardo has created this with Christian Dussoulier, according to my research. But this stuff, I wore so many bottles of it. Really great cinnamony, warm, vanillic, also kind of appley fruitiness. And the combination of notes was so great. It had a great trail. It smelled warm, spicy, but juicy, fresh at the same time with the apples notes in here. Wonderful, wonderful fragrance. So many memories with this one. I consider this one of my favorite fragrances of hers of all time. She did such a great job with it. Obviously, she did it with another perfumer, but this has stayed for a long time. There's so many flankers of it now, but I feel like the original is the best. The Parfum that came out last year, hated it because it didn't really smell like this. This stuff is so good compared to that. Still, years later, this stuff is still smelling better than the Parfum. We'll see how the Elixir is, but Boss Bottled from 1998, such a great release, guys. Let me know if you're a fan of these fragrances so far. So as I said, we're going in chronological order, and up next, going to the house of Lolita LEMPICKA. This is MASCULIN, or what it's known as now, LEMPICKA Homme. This is it right here. Originally launched in 2000, then relaunched as LEMPICKA Homme in 2018. So I don't remember the differences between the two fragrances. I think they're very, very close. Just the current formulation is this, and they're not calling it MASCULIN anymore. But this is a licorice fragrance. Really love that licorice vibe here with licorice and anise. There's vanilla, there's rum, almonds, musk, sugar, wormwood, ivy, violet, woodsy notes, rose, orange blossom, labdanum. Such a great designer release. I really, really loved licorice fragrances, and this stuff, and also B-Men in the early 2000s were two of my favorite fragrances to wear over and over again. They had so many different flankers of this fragrance, came and went, but then now, glad they brought this back. I mean, it's not the same, but definitely kind of takes me back to the early 2000s when I was wearing it. But a great creation from Annick Menardo for sure. So this is LEMPICKA Homme, or MASCULIN, from the year 2000 or 2008. But moving on to the house of YSL, and here I think we're going to find out that Annick Menardo does really great things with resins. So this is YSL's body KOUROS, completely different than the original KOUROS. More modern, but also very resinous and smoky, and has this kind of camphoric, kind of bitter greenness from eucalyptus. So the combination is great. It's a different kind of a KOUROS, definitely wearable, more modern, although this is from 23 years ago. I don't know how modern it is now, but smells great. I really love the combination with the benzoin resin, which is kind of a vanillic resin, has light smokiness, and it has that, you know, eucalyptus and incense note. And then, of course, there's some aromatics and woods in there as well. Wonderful creation. Body KOUROS from the house of YSL, a great creation by Annick Menardo. And continuing on with the resins, going to the house of DIOR. This is Bois d'Argent, this one right here. And once again, this is about myrrh. This is myrrh resin. Last one was benzoin. And this is, to me, one of the best creations from Dior's Privé collection. And it launched originally in 2004, brought back in 2018. And it's a skin scent to me mostly. It's not a big thick fragrance, and it's also kind of airy, flowy, ethereal. So it has this kind of flowy wear. And again, as I said, it's kind of a skin scent, but it's powdery with iris and myrrh. Of course, it's resinous, a bit smoky. There's honey here, vanilla. There's aromatic woody notes and amber. Lots of stuff here. Resins, musk. It smells really, really great. I just wish it was a beefier fragrance, but I think the way it's created, the way Annick Menardo has created this, I think it's fantastic. Because I don't think if you thicken it up, if you'd make it much more dense, the fragrance would completely change and not react the way it is with this version. So Bois d'Argent, a really great creation from Annick Menardo, and utilizing resins, as I said. But once again, we got another resinous fragrance up next. So this one's from 2006, going to the House of Guerlain. This is Bois d'Harmonie, this one right here. So again, this bottle is the worst bottle ever created by Guerlain. I can't wait to empty this out so I can get another one. But back to Benzoin again with Bois d'Harmonie. And this Benzoin is one of my favorite notes. It's like if you don't like vanilla, it gets too sugary sweet. Look for Benzoin because it's resinous, ambery, some sweetness like vanilla, but not quite. But this is Benzoin, incense, there's iris, gaiac wood, there's copahu balm, coriander, patchouli, pink pepper, white musk. I feel like it's an evolution of Bois d'Argent, kind of similar ideas but with different notes. But this stuff is so, so good. Bois d'Harmonie is amazing. Inspired by the Papier d'Harmonie. It's an incense paper that is burned in France or also Italy probably. And this is a fragrance that's supposed to smell like that. But this stuff is great. Bois d'Harmonie, wonderful creation by Annick Menardo. I think she's, like I said, does great things with resins and smoky things as well. So going to the House of Le Labo, we've got two fragrances from Le Labo back to back. She's done one fragrance in 2006, another one in 2008, and I think the one in 2008 is probably one of the most popular fragrances from Le Labo. But first we're going to start off from the 2006 fragrance. It's Patchouli 24. So Patchouli 24 is in the regular line of fragrances, and this stuff is definitely not patchouli. If you're expecting something like psychedelic here, you're not gonna get it. You're gonna get patchouli, but it's hidden inside a fragrance that has loads of birchwood, smoky fragrance. So it's got smoky, leathery touches here. There's a resinous touch of styrax here. And then of course we've got vanilla to sweeten things up a little bit. And then the patchouli comes in here as well. It's a different kind of a fragrance for patchouli lovers. It's for me most about birchwood and sweetened up by the vanilla and then, you know, made earthy with the patchouli. And of course along the way you've got that styrax in there as well. I think it smells great. I like the way it smells. It smells a bit like campfire, a bit like barbecue. It's that birchwood. It just creates that kind of smell, and wonderful offering, I think, from Le Labo. It's an underrated one. I don't think this is one of the more popular ones. It's not one of those fragrances that people crave, they want to wear it, because it's, you know, smoky, dark, kind of smells like barbecue, but still, I think a great creation from Annick Menardo. It's Patchouli 24. That one's from 2006. And the next one from 2008, this is the Tokyo City exclusive. It's Gaiac 10. I think this is probably next to Santal 33, one of the more popular fragrances from Le Labo. At least that's what I hear. And I feel like it smells great to me. I just wish it was a little more deeper and richer, but it has notes of musk with Gaiac wood, cedar, and olibanum. So we've got that olibanum note, the resin. As I said, I think Annick Menardo does really great things with resins. This smells really, really great, and I can see why it's popular with a lot of consumers of Le Labo fragrances. Sad it's a city exclusive, but of course, you know, city exclusives are sold everywhere. Le Labo fragrances are sold in the month of September. It is very, very pricey, but I think this smells great. I like the fact that there's lots of musk here. It's very, very musky, along with that kind of creamy Gaiac wood, more woods from cedar, and then of course some smokiness from olibanum. So that's Gaiac 10 from Le Labo, launched in 2008. We're moving on to a house called Jean Paul Gaultier. I'm sure you guys know this house. And we've got a creation here, one of my all-time favorites of Annick Menardo's, a creation created with Olivier Cresp. So I think that Annick Menardo used to be part of Firmenich. I think this is a Firmenich creation because Olivier Cresp is with Firmenich. So this is a fragrance called Cocorico from Jean-Paul Gaultier, launched in 2011. This is fig leaves with cacao, patchouli, vetiver, and cedar. I think the combination is one of the best combinations ever. The fig leaves, the bitter greenness, against with that cacao, the chocolatiness, and of course patchouli creates the chocolatiness anyway. So the combination is really, really delicious. This was my alternative when I first got into the reviewing game. This launched in 2011. I started reviewing in 2012 on my first channel. This was my alternative. At the time, there was plenty of stock of this out there at the discounters. In fact, I bought my very first bottle for about $35 when it was available. It was my alternative to L'Instant de Guerlain Pour Homme Extreme. I think it kind of has similar idea, not smell, and I couldn't find a bottle of Lidge or L'Instant de Guerlain Pour Homme Extreme, so this one kind of created that want of that fragrance. Afterwards, I found that bottle, but if you like the idea of green bitterness against cacao and patchouli and woods, definitely try Cocorico. I think it's a very sexy fragrance from the house of Jean-Paul Gaultier. But moving on to the house of Olfactive Studio, this is Close Up, this one right here. Who knows this one? So this is a very musky fragrance, slightly animalic. I think we're going to get into a bit of an animalic and kind of like avant-garde kind of territory with some of the fragrances that Annick Menardo has created with the next several fragrances. To me, this smells a little bit like Ambre Narguilé, Wajan, those kind of fragrances, but also musky, like the musk from Musk Ravageur or the musk from Original Musk from Kiehl's. If you like that kind of animalic thing against the gourmand thing, you might want to check this one out. It's super delicious, I think. Nobody talks about this fragrance, and I think it deserves the attention. Tonka beans with white tobacco, cherries, spices, amber, coffee, patchouli, musk, rose, Atlas cedar. Again, very, very underrated. I think she did a great job with this one. I like the idea of Wajan, Ambre Narguilé, and I like the idea of the addition of muskiness. Smells fantastic. So Close Up from the house of Olfactive Studio, a wonderful offering. Now we're getting to something very interesting here with a fragrance house called Stark Paris. This is a Philippe Starck designer collection of fragrances, and she created one of the fragrances for this house, launched in 2016. I believe when she only did one, at least that's all I have. So this is Pot d'Allure, I think that's how you say it in French. And it features notes of earthy notes, musk, and woods. So it's basically like soil tincture. It smells like soil tincture. It smells like soil, damp, earth, along with lots of musk and woods. And basically that's what you're getting with this one. So I feel like it's a bit avant-garde. It's unique. It's definitely very earthy and woody and also musky. But that's pretty much it. There's not a lot of sweetness there. There's not like leather and things like that. Although you might get a light leathery touch under there. But for me, it's basically damp earth is what you smell. Very musky, very woody, damp earth. So this is Stark Paris, Pot d'Allure. Check that out if you don't know it. And then continuing on with this next fragrance, I feel like it's a graduation of Pot d'Allure. This is from the house of Amouage. It's Figment Man, this one right here. So Figment Man takes the earthy notes of Pot d'Allure and moves it into here along with animalic notes of the Close Up fragrance from Olfactive Studio. But it's much more animalic and much more earthy here, and it's intensified. I feel like this is not for the faint of heart. If you like soil tincture, earthy notes, and you like animalic notes, this might be it for you. I believe this is discontinued as well, so be warned. But it's a combination. I think it's a wonderful combination of earth and animalic together. You know, they're out there. We're on earth and there's animals out there, right? So in addition to those notes, there's labdanum here, there's geranium, vetiver, lemons, gaiac wood, sandalwood, and pink pepper. Very interesting fragrance. I don't think this is a crowd pleaser. It's an acquired taste, so be warned. But Figment Man from the house of Amouage, a very unique fragrance for you to check out, created by Annick Menardo. Then we're going to the house of Amouage once again at number 15, but it's his fragrance launched in 2019. It's Portrayal Woman, this one right here. Very unisex offering for a female targeted fragrance. Loads of jasmine here with elemi resin. Remember, I said she does really great work with resins. There's also tobacco here and vanilla. The tobacco with jasmine, what a great combination it is. It's a great combination. It smells great. It tones down the floralcy of the jasmine, but you can still smell it. The kind of ashy, dirty tobacco, the resin and vanilla together. Really great fragrance. This stuff is super fantastic. If you don't know it, check it out. A man can totally wear this stuff, but targeted to the ladies. It's Portrayal Woman from Amouage. I think that's one of Amouage's best releases. I really love that. Then going to the house of Davidoff. This is Cool Water Intense. Yes, I have a Davidoff Cool Water Intense fragrance. Somebody recommended this one to me. It's basically cool water taken into ambery and also kind of a beachy coconutty direction. So basically it's amber, green mandarin, and coconut. You get the DNA of cool water. It's very fresh, but there's that light hint of kind of something beachy, a little tropical under there, which makes for kind of a surprise. If you like cool water and you want a bit of an ambery, coconutty, kind of a citrusy thing, definitely try Cool Water Intense. That one was launched in 2019. I think it's definitely a really great fragrance. Definitely love the smell of it. But the next fragrance, going back to Amouage once again, it's Overture Woman. So Overture Woman is the fruity take on Overture, although I think Overture Man also had a bit of fruitiness. But this one, to me, it's more of a fresh, a little more playful than the seriousness of Overture Man. So apples, leather, brandy, saffron, bergamot, benzoin, myrrh, May rose, cinnamon, geranium, olibanum, labdanum. So lots of resins here, obviously, as you can see. There's also the leather, the brandy, the apples. So it's kind of a very fruity, woody, ambery kind of a fragrance with resins, loads of resins here. Some light floral touches as well. It smells really, really great if you like the idea of this fresh blast of fruitiness next to like kind of more intense ambery resins and things like that. So Overture Woman, that is from 2020 by the house of Amouage. Then going to the house of Mind Games, this is Asuli's Diamond, this one right here. Who's a fan of this one? So once again, resins. She's got Apopanax in this fragrance, along with tonka beans, incense, amber wood, broom, ylang ylang, myrrh, mandarin, bergamot, and fig leaves. It's a very interesting combination. I really love Apopanax. It's a great sweet kind of a resin, really great ambery note. It's a very distinct. It kind of stands out and has this really great smell, but creates an amber accord. But with this one, of course, you've got the incense, and then, of course, floral notes in here as well, some tropical flowers and some citruses as well. And then the strange thing in here is the fig leaves. The fig leaves comes in and creates this very bitter green contrast along with, against all the other notes that I've mentioned. Very interesting fragrance. Asuli's Diamond from the house of Mind Games, a wonderful offering. Then going to the house of Dries Van Noten, this is Orange Smoke, this one right here. One of the two colognes that have launched in this house last year. And the two colognes are two of my favorites from this house. A bit of an underwhelming house, but the colognes are really, really great, as I was saying. One by Quintambition, this one by Annick Menardo. This is kind of a very citrusy, fresh cologne-esque fragrance with, it's called Orange Smoke. Of course, she likes smoke, resins kind of a thing. But this one also has neroli, orange blossom. There's myrrh. There's a resin right there. There's musk, incense, mandarin, petitgrain, and jasmine. If you like your idea of a fresh cologne-esque citrus fragrance with some resins and smoke thrown in, definitely try Orange Smoke from the house of Dries Van Noten. I really like the two colognes. I think they're light and airy to wear, but also a bit of substance in there and uniqueness and unique twists with regular fragrances. So another fragrance launched in 2022. The last one was 2022, but this is from the house of YSL. This is La Valliere, this one right here. So I found out that this is an Annick Menardo creation. I'm glad I found out because this is a really great creation she did. This is totally different than what she usually does. It's a fruity floral fragrance with rose and fig fruit and black currants and vetiver, bergamot, musk, cashmeran, jasmine, and geranium. It's a very fresh fragrance. It's a great fig fragrance. Love the idea of fig in fragrances. This is actually the fruits. So it's very, very fruity against the fruitiness of the black currants, and then of course the floral touches of the rose. Really wonderful fragrance. It's not as exciting as Baby Cat, but for summertime this is a wonderful wear. So La Valliere from the house of YSL. Really great offering from that house. And the last fragrance I'm going to talk to you about in the main list, we've got some bonus options as well, is from the house of Penhaligon's. This is Sports Car Club, this one right here. Who's a fan of that one? I believe this is a limited edition fragrance, so it might be a bit difficult to get, but if you can find it, get it. It's a cypress bomb. Cypress with eucalyptus, but there's also pink pepper here, Swiss pine, patchouli, patchoulol, musk, and ambroxan. Really love the way it smells on the masculine side. Very woody, very aromatic, very spicy. Really kind of a modern take on a men's classic green woods kind of a fragrance. So it's Sports Car Club from the house of Penhaligon's. And that's the last fragrance for you guys here in today's video. Bonus option, 3 fragrances from one house. Stay tuned. But what are your thoughts on these fragrances? What are your thoughts on Annick Menardo as a fragrance or a perfumer? What's missing? I know one of her most popular fragrances is Dior's Hypnotic Poison. I just don't have a bottle. Never did. Probably should get one. But there are others that she's created as well. She's been around for a long time. She's got a huge catalog of fragrances. But these are what I have. These are some of the best fragrances she's created, and probably some of the worst or not so popular ones. But it's a great overview of a perfumer and her style. Well, let me know what you think about these fragrances. Let me know if you like them, and let me know what's missing off the list. And also let me know which perfumers you'd like to see videos on. I've got a few that I've already notated that I'm going to do, 3 more in addition to this. But there might be others out there that you want me to cover. And also, before you tell me, search my channel for that perfumer if you have an idea of a perfumer, because I might have done it already. So yeah, if you're interested and curious about other perfumers, just search their name on the channel and the videos will pull up. But either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. So I've got 3 bonus options here from one house called Nuit Nomade. Are you a fan of Nuit Nomade's fragrances? Really great fragrances. Really love this house. A great French house. Not overly expensive niche fragrances, but very, very unique fragrances. And Annick Menardo has created 3 of their fragrances. I think that's all she's created for this house. And really wonderful offerings. I'm going to smell these fragrances on camera for you. But she did Rose America in 2017, Memory Motel in 2017, and Bohemian Soul in 2018. Let's smell them. So this is Rose America right here. This has notes of Bulgarian rose. It has carnation, marine notes, raspberry, ambrette, and heliotrope. Who likes the sound of this particular fragrance? In the end, it's very, very rosy. It's very, very fresh. Lightly marine. The marine is definitely tolerable, those of you that hate marine notes. And it's got a fruitiness as well, and also a bit of a spiciness from carnation, like a cloviness. But powdery and also musky. This is a great scent. It smells really, really great if you like fresh, rosy fragrances. So Rose America, that is a wonderful offering. So if you don't know Nuit Nomade, you definitely need to go check out their fragrances, and definitely check out my videos on the mentions of this house, and a standalone video of the house as well. And also, one of their fragrances was featured in Scent Club in number 4. Really, really great fragrances. Un Jardin, it's a Jardin de Misfa is the fragrance, but this is Nuit Nomade. The next fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is Memory Motel. This one right here. Have you tried this one? So this is a vanillic tobacco fragrance created by Annick Menardo with leather, oak moss, carnation, iris, patchouli, incense, and bergamot. Definitely the idea of the tobacco and vanilla is here. The tobacco seems not very ashy, smoky, but there's definitely smokiness there. But it doesn't smell dirty. It just smells of smoke more than like the ashy dirtiness. Leather is here as well. And once again, we've got carnation. She's using carnation here in the fragrances for the house of Nuit Nomade. But this is really, really great. Again, Memory Motel, really wonderful, smoky kind of tobacco vanilla fragrance with leather. That is a great release from Nuit Nomade. And the last fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is Bohemian Soul, this one right here. These are 3 great fragrances created by Annick Menardo for the house of Nuit Nomade. Are you a fan of Annick Menardo's fragrances? Let's try Bohemian Soul. Now this one launched in 2018, whereas the previous 2 fragrances launched in 2017. But Bohemian Soul features notes of sandalwood, gaiac wood, iris, artemisia, olibanum, myrrh, and musk. Olibanum, myrrh, resins. But this is more of a sandalwoody fragrance with gaiac wood, and then also powderiness from iris. Yeah. This is definitely sandalwood. If you like sandalwood, you got to get your nose on this one. There's a slight greenness running throughout it. Very powdery from the iris. The artemisia creates this kind of a green aromatic spiciness. But then olibanum and myrrh and musk. Wow, this is really, really great sandalwood. So this is Bohemian Soul. Get your nose on it, especially if you love the idea of sandalwood in fragrances. That smells fantastic. So I would wear that one. Probably wear it in the autumn, because I think it smells like an autumn kind of a fragrance. But either way, guys, thanks so much for tuning in today. See you guys later. Bye-bye.